Today we are going to see iron and steel industry. So I'll start with the PPT. Okay, so we are going to start with the iron and steel industry. Now, till yesterday, we had seen number of times the example of this industry. So where all have we placed this? In classification, we have placed it under which category? Yes.
Private industries.
Okay, it can be both because Steel Authority of India is also a public controlled industry, that is government controlled. Yes, if you talk in terms of reliance, then it can be. But what else other than classification? Based on ownership, you told me, right? But based on this bulk weight or based on the capital investment. So basically, we are placing it under key industry or the basic industry. Yes, the very first classification. It was a key or basic industry means what? It is giving raw materials to other industries, right? Remember that. First classification was key or basic industry, then ownership, then what else? Then the bulky output that's produced from it. So now you know that it is one of the important industries in India because it is the basic industry. This industry forms the backbone of all other industries since it produces raw material or finished goods for them. Yes, you'll give me example how it produces finished goods, which finished goods are produced, or basically how does it produce raw material for other industries also. Can you give me one example?
Ma'am, the iron and steel industry produces the machines which are used for these other industries. That is why it's the backbone.
Yes, not just machinery. First and foremost, any kind of purified iron and steel is going to be a what?
Utility.
It is having utility for all other industries. It is going to provide as a raw material for all other industries. Basic, whether you take machinery, whether you take automobiles, okay, whether you take construction columns, anywhere, this output is required over there. Okay, so first and foremost, just as for agriculture you wrote it was a self-reliant, here you will write it is the backbone. Okay, it is the backbone of all industries. Then in itself this industry is classified as a heavy industry because since both the raw materials and the finished goods are heavy and bulky. Just now you already told me the point, correct? Whatever is produced from it, whether it is automobiles, whether it is railway carriages, whether it is machinery, the output is all heavy. And even iron and steel slabs that are being taken to the industry as raw materials are also heavy. So it is a heavy industry. Then this industry is usually located where efficient transport is available. Now, why do you think efficient transport is required?
Because goods
Because
must
iron
pass
and
from
steel are
one.
heavy.
Okay, it is heavy, so it has to be. You cannot employ a lot of people to carry it. So the manual labor used should be minimum because minimum in the sense for minimum number of time. Okay, so you have to have a good infrastructure. And what kind of transportation will be convenient? Will it be sea? Will it be land? Will it be air?
Land.
Land and sea also. Okay, so land and sea
Yeah.
transport will be the most convenient type of transport that will be available. Okay, steel production and consumption is linked to countries' development. Now, why do you think so?
Like through the steel and iron, we can make a lot of products.
Yes, basically, whole of the chapter that we are talking, industrialization. For industries, you require what? Machines, right? And all of that machines are made of
Iron and steel.
iron and steel. So machines will give you the maximum production of any raw material being converted to a finished product, and amount of finished product. The more the amount of finished product, more the amount of sale, and more the amount of money. So production of iron and steel and the consumption of iron and steel will lead to the country's economic development. Yes, all the answers that I was reading here in the chat box. Yes, you are on the right track. Now have a look at how iron and steel is processed through the flow diagram. Okay, I'll open the textbook in a short while. The Steel Authority of India creates the market for steel manufactured by the public sector. Okay, so Steel Authority of India is a public controlled industry, that is government controlled industry, which makes sure that steel is distributed properly and also produced properly for the public sector as well as others. Despite India's high global ranking in this industry, there is still a lot that can be achieved. In the first period itself, we have seen what? That India's total GDP, though industrialization contributes to it, it is not as much as it should be. Okay, so India's global ranking in industry sector is still to be achieved. We still have a lot to achieve in that. The country faces challenges in terms of high costs, low labor productivity, poor infrastructure, etc. Okay, so the country faces challenges. What we had seen these challenges in the previous iron. What is that? Textile industry also. Why low labor productivity? We had seen this same point, second point, in textile industry also. Why do you think this happens? High cost, okay. The raw material itself is going to be costly to buy. So you have that industry has to be a large scale industry in order to bear the costs. Because when I open the textbook and you see the procedures that go in between, I'm very sure you've already studied that in science as well. But anyway,
Expenses, more
yes,
expenses.
more expensive, right?
Ma'am, skilled labors are more expensive.
Skilled labor is more expensive, fine. To program the machines and all, it is going to take skilled people to do that, so it is going to be expensive to hire those people, yes. But what about the people who are easily available as laborers?
Ma'am, then there will be more expenses as to ma'am teach them how to do this, how to do that process.
See, again, don't forget what we did yesterday also in the textile part. What did we say? There are a lot of power cuts in our country. Electricity is not sufficient, correct? So what happens? Even if the worker is willing to work at times, there are this kind of problems. That's why it leads to low labor productivity, because then labor is ready to work, but ultimately they are not able to produce that much because the outside conditions, that is the power cuts, are not allowing them to do that. And poor infrastructure, though our country is now bound with many roadways and railway networks, but still in certain places, remote places, infrastructure is very poor. It's not up to the mark. So to carry all these bulky things over there, then to make a setup, it's a huge task. So while local demand is met by what we produce, India still imports good quality steel from other countries. So though India has enough number of iron and steel industry by which it can actually meet the local needs, that is what India needs is met by the industries that India has, but still for good quality steel, India depends on other countries. Yesterday, what did we see in textile? Similar point. What was it? Yes, what was it? They export the yarn and they import finished good, right? Finished
Textiles.
textiles were imported. Yarn was exported, but textile was imported because the cost behind that, what we have to give, is much higher than what we could actually save back after importing it also. Okay, so now observe the map on page 70. And yesterday also, that textile industry, that map time was up, so I couldn't show you. So today, I'll try to show you both the maps. Okay, you have to mark these places, and this can be asked for locating on the political map of India. Okay, so before we go further, let us quickly check if you all know at least these places or these cities lie in which Indian states. Huh? Do you know Durgapur lies in which Indian state?
Ma'am, the name itself tells us
Ma'am,
Durgapur
Assam,
is West Bengal.
West
Yes,
Bengal,
yes,
West Bengal.
yes, West Bengal, correct. Then Bokaro, Salem,
Ma'am, is it in Tamil Nadu?
yes, okay. The next is aluminium smelting. The process of extracting a metal from its ore by heating and melting is known as smelting. So the word comes from both the verbs heating and smelting. So smelting. Bauxite ore is the main source of aluminium. Okay, then uh, when I open the textbook again, we'll see the processes that are involved in this. Aluminium smelting in India is second most important metallurgical industry. Metallurgical industry means it will require raw material.
Iron and steel.
Iron and steel.
Okay, that is fine, but metallurgical industry, if iron and steel is also metallurgical industry, from where is it deriving its raw material?
Mining.
Mining, yes. So which were the two types we saw? Agro-based and
Mineral based.
Mineral
mineral
based.
based. So this
Mineral
is
based.
mineral based. Yes. So bauxite is bulky and the smelting process relies heavily on its availability as well as a regular electricity source. So for smelting, you require the availability of that in bulk amount and also regular supply of electricity, because if you want to heat that and melt it, obviously electricity is required. You are not going to actually do the fire and burn the fire and then start doing it. It is going to create a lot of pollution then. So the location of this industry is governed by a place where raw material is abundantly found and where electricity is also regularly available. So if you want to set up an industry which is going to produce bauxite, aluminum smelting industry, then you have to set it up at a place where there is uninterrupted power supply. Okay, electricity is abundantly available. Right. So now I'll open the textbook. We'll go through the processes and then we'll go through the map marking. Okay, before that, I just thought we'll freshen up if we are bored a bit. Classify the following. Let's do this activity. Classify the following into two groups on the basis of bulk and weight of raw material and finished goods.
Oil is
Yes.
going to be light good.
Light. Okay. 1 minute.
Brassware
Light,
will
light.
come
Knitting,
under heavy.
brass will
Sir.
come under heavy, but knitting needles will come under heavy. You have seen knitting needles, right?
Yes,
They are not heavyweight.
they are not. They will come under light.
Yes.
This one
Okay. Then fuse wires,
Light.
light,
Heavy.
light. Watches,
heavy.
light.
Light, I guess.
Light.
Okay,
Sewing machine,
Heavy.
Heavy.
Light.
heavy,
sure.
Heavy.
Light,
heavy,
light.
heavy.
Anyone is feeling it is light? Anyone is
Light,
feeling
light.
light? Who is saying that? Shipbuilding,
Heavy.
electric bulbs,
Light.
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 okay. Paint brushes
Light.
Light.
and automobiles,
Heavy.
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 sure.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. So yesterday, textile industry, these were the things that are the processes that go in the textile industry. Okay. First is fiber production. For fiber production, we need spinning, weaving, knitting, dyeing and finishing, and then garment manufacture. Or at times, the last process can be second last and second last can be last. Why do you think that way? Why do you
It
think
depends
that?
upon which clothing we want.
Yes, sometimes we actually dye the cloth first and then make it into a finished product, like maybe a shirt or a sari. Or sometimes we do vice versa. We keep something white and then partially color it, or. So these two processes can be interchanged. Okay. Now coming to on this map, now those places, can you tell me? Textile industries, okay. Uh, in yesterday's PPT, they showed that we had to mark Surat, we had to mark Mumbai, okay, we had to mark Kanpur, okay, and yes, we had to mark Mumbai, Surat, Indore, Kanpur, and Coimbatore. So can you tell me now, those places lie in which state of India? Mumbai,
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra, okay. Surat,
Gujarat.
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 okay. Indore,
Madhya
Madhya
Pradesh.
Pradesh.
okay. Kanpur,
Uttar Pradesh.
yes, Kanpur is in Uttar Pradesh, that's right.
UP.
And then Coimbatore. Coimbatore is in
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu. Okay. So these are the major textile industries. So you're going to be asked, like, for example, if it is Mumbai, if you see the legend over here, it's going to be cotton and woolen textile. Okay, Surat is for cotton textile. Coimbatore is for cotton textile because the black dot shows the cotton textile. Then Indore is for cotton textile. Okay, so and Kanpur is again for both woolen and cotton textile. So these are the 5 places you have to remember for um, textile industry. And this is today's work. Okay, I will also show you a field map, how it has to be done in exam. Okay, and when there is a period for map practice, we'll practice both of them. All right, so these are the places again. Vijayanagar is in Karnataka, Salem is in Tamil Nadu. Now, any doubt over here, please take. Durgapur was correct that you told West Bengal. Bhilai, is Bhilai correct? Somebody told Rajasthan. Now see, is the state correct? Which Indian state?
Chhattisgarh.
Chhattisgarh. Okay, good. So Bokaro, Jamshedpur are all again, as you said here. Which is this state? Bhilai lies in which state? Chhattisgarh. Students?
Jharkhand, ma'am.
Ma'am, Chhattisgarh.
Bhilai lies in Chhattisgarh. Okay,
Jharkhand.
Oh,
Bhilai
sorry.
lies in Chhattisgarh and Jamshedpur, Bokaro lies in
Jharkhand.
Jharkhand, and this
Jharkhand.
lies in this lies in West Bengal. Okay, this is Karnataka, and this is which state?
Tamil Nadu.
Sal-
Tamil Nadu. Okay. Any doubts? Okay, then we were seeing the processes in iron and steel. That part we had to see. Okay, now this question, no? Here, can you see this table reading question? This question was asked, this time in 10 model paper. Table reading, data reading question. And this question itself was asked. Why is the per capita consumption of steel so low in India? So why is it still low in India? Yes.
Because we lack infrastructure.
So it is here. Huh? The answer is here. Iron and steel is a heavy industry because all the raw materials as well as finished goods are heavy and bulky. Then that is transportation costs. Then iron ore and coking coal and limestone are not available easily. So this is you have to write the answer from here. Okay. Is it clear? So please.
Ma'am, the answer would be something like it's given down that coking coal is there is not sufficient coking coal in India. That's why we don't have.
So they are not available. So that is what I was marking here. So I was marking both the reasons: transportation cost and uh, not getting those raw materials very easily. Okay. Then
Yes, ma'am.
this is the process of iron and steel manufacturing here. So first you transport the raw material to the industry. Okay. Then you purify that. Iron ore is melted. Okay. Then limestone is fluxing material which is added. Slag is removed. Coke is burnt to heat the ore. Then after the ore is pure, that mineral, that iron ore is purified, you will get molten materials poured into molds called pigs. So this is referred to as pig iron. Okay. And then shaping metal, then from pig iron you make steel. So pig iron is further purified by melting and oxidizing the impurities. Then manganese, nickel and chromium are added, and then finally it is shaped into the sheets, rolling, pressing and casting and forging. So now it is pressed into metal sheets. Okay. Is it, these are the processes of manufacturing steel in a blast furnace. So 3 marks answer if it is asked from here, go through it. And last was aluminium smelting again. So this is the process of manufacturing in aluminium industry. Bauxite is transported first, then it is crushed and alumina is dissolved out in aluminium refinery. Okay. Then again it is this thing is put into aluminium smelter, it is burned, and then the molten metal acts as an electrolyte by which, and see the amount of electricity that is required here. So that is why it is said that the amount of, the major requirement is that there should be enough electricity supply. Okay. So now I'll stop the recording.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.